Well, hello and welcome once again to A Goodman's Tale. My name is Joshua Goodman. And as you know, as always, A Goodman's Tale is a place where we get together, we talk, we chat, we discuss about our life's story. The good, the bad, the ugly, the ups and the downs, our greatest victories and our greatest tragedies. Today we have Miss Chelsea Kolstee with us, and I'm going to introduce her in just a moment. But before I do, as always, we ask that you would like, share, and subscribe if you are enjoying these podcasts. Until then, let's get it. All right. Well, welcome once again to A Goodman's Tale, and welcome to you, Miss Chelsea.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. Let's see. So we normally start off the show with asking a couple of just random icebreaker questions. So if you had to choose one place to spend the rest of your life, a city, a town, it can be an island, it can be the mountains, it can be a village on the backside, and you could never leave that place ever again, where would it be?
Kind of a hard question for me because I've only been to one place, and there's so many places that I'd like to go. But you've read National Geographic, so I mean, I have, but I've been to the Philippines, and we had a blast there. And if I could go anywhere in the Philippines, then I'd go there because there's Grace Island, which is like a resort, and then there's the places that similar to you, my heart is mission. So there's the places that need mission work, and I'd spend a lot of time there. So an interesting question, and I've asked every Filipino, every Haitian, every individual from foreign places about the craziest thing they've ever eaten. And I mean, one of the Filipino people said sausage, right? And so for us, I told them, I'm like, sausage that's not weird, but eating the beluga or whatever. It's actually good, but I can't take the texture.
I've never tried it.
And I got a foot in one, and that was it.
So beluga, you have eaten it. Is that the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
It's not.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
So on Grace Island, we, so it was a kind of a birthday celebration for the pastor we were visiting. And we went to Grace Island, this resort. We got to go scuba diving. And,
super cool.
Got to go over the reef, and it was awesome. Yeah. Really great. But they were catching sea urchins.
Yes.
And they were like, it's great. And I was terrified. First of all, I was terrified that one was going to impale me while I swam over it. Terrifying. But, so they crack it open, and it's like this
goo.
I tried it, but it didn't make it far.
Because you don't eat the whole...
No,
you just eat like the centerpiece.
It's like the inside. The worst part of it. Like, I can imagine the outside would be crunchy if you were to eat it, but the inside is like...
that's...
Couldn't do it.
I have never eaten... I've eaten a lot of crazy things.
I know you have.
Eaten dog and, raw fish, scallop, but I've never eaten sea urchin. But I got to be honest with you, if I ever have the opportunity, I will, just because...
It's definitely something to try. It had
the experience.
The flavor was interesting, but for me, I can't get past the texture of a lot of things.
Let's see, any other icebreaker questions? So you guys know Chelsea. She came up in my youth ministry, this spiritual daughter of mine, and has 6 babies. And so is a loving wife to an entrepreneur, business individual, and now working at Apple and doing all the stuff he does.
And he just got licensed.
Really?
With Rockfish.
Really? So a licensed minister.
Right.
So I don't want to start there because that's now. Let's go back. Goodness sake, we first met.
I mean, I don't remember meeting you.
I know, 15, 20 years. I mean, a hot minute. You were, so I think the first time.
I was like a toddler when we came here.
Yeah, the first time I remember. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Woo! Don't worry, I'm 49 next month, so it's all right.
It's okay. It's just a gift.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
So it's the gray hair, right?
It is.
I think the first, your dad was working sound, your mom was working the nursery. I remember, first, not even you, but your older siblings.
Right.
And them beginning to kind of get into my realm of youth ministry. And then remember you progressing up from, nursery to children's ministry, then, then into youth. And that during that season too was really great because you came into next level when we were just... It
was like the perfect time.
It was the perfect time. It was next level was really just taking off.
Well, you had just taken over next level then, right?
Yep.
And so I came in as you were coming in.
Yep. And I mean, like the first week, because a lot of the youth left when I came in, I think the first week we had like 15 people, but literally every week we just grew and we grew and we grew. We had 10 or 15 the first week, then like 20 or 25 the next, 30, 35, until we were up over 100 kids we were ministering to every week. And I mean, those were the days we were doing small groups in the schools. I think, weren't you, you and Mel, didn't you do Ann Chestnut? Which one did you guys do?
I did the Ann Chestnut one, and then I did Westover with Mike for a while, and Aaron.
Yeah.
So that was...
And Westover was great because that's where we made... originally, though he didn't go to school there, we originally made contact with Trayvon, who asked us then to come over to 71st, do a small group there, and we would do the youth revivals.
I think by the time you made contact with Trayvon, I was out of school then.
Yes, you were.
Because he took over the ministry after I was gone.
Yep, and did just a great job with. We ended up doing, I think, 6 or 8 small groups in the junior high and high school back in those days, and what a great time we had. And then moving kind of, you were with us when we launched the church. So there we go. We come up through youth ministry, right? We come up through youth ministry. I finally get Dad's approval to let us launch the church / prayer room, and here we go from there into. Why don't you tell a little bit of that when we were those days?
The prayer room?
Yeah, the prayer room and launching the church, because you were such an integral part of all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when you guys started talking about the prayer room, and I was like, what is this going to look like? I thought we were going to do it here, and then we started renovating your basement.
Yes.
That was awesome. Like, I mean, I think I got the most experience on practical hands-on application of anything working with you because we did food and ministry and building, putting drywall in. That was amazing. And then my favorite times to the prayer room was the hours that like nobody would go there.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Right. And then at some point I realized that you guys could probably hear me, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
No. Well, so it was great for us because we loved that time, because when we would do those 3-day prayers, 7-day prayers, where it was 24 hours a day, we would wake up at 3 in the morning and hear people praying.
Right.
And it was it was great. It was intense. It's like to know that we are carrying this torch of prayer, for all this time, and then to be able to wake up and hear that and fall back to sleep to it was, tremendous. And then crescendo, dun, 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 dun. Patrick comes into your life.
Yes.
Steals my daughter away.
Well, we had the prayer room, and then we started Pursuit Church.
Yes.
After the prayer room, which was an interesting. At first, I was like, well, shouldn't we start a church first, then a prayer room? But I thought it was really cool that we started with the prayer room.
I agree. Yeah.
And then, like, looking back, like, thinking about it, I'm kind of, like, poetic, or, like, I guess poetic minded.
Yeah.
In that, prayer, starting with the prayer room is kind of like, the Israelites went out with praise. And prayer is, what is it but praise, Yeah. And so that was pretty cool that we started with that.
And we started, and we were doing all night prayers, and just really trying to generate an atmosphere of prayer and praise 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then, like you said, from that stance, from that place, we decided to start
it birthed it.
The birth of Pursuit Church. And again, looking back at the integral part that you played.
I'd always wondered if you did that on purpose, or if it just
no, I didn't. And it just flowed. And then, like I said, the part you played, you were, the mover, the shaker. You were literally involved in, I mean, every area, whether it was.
Sometimes that gets me in trouble, though, man.
Yeah. Well, we were doing, because we were doing so much, right? Setup, breakdown, children's ministry, getting up at 5 a.m. to get the trailer and move it, to Methodist University.
Now, I didn't have a part in the trailer.
No, but still, just
it definitely. That time was an integral part of forming my mindset on ministry, and just learning to do everything that I was doing, but not be proud, and not be, what's the word? Not haughty. Well, I guess haughty too, but not be bitter about the things that I was doing that other people weren't doing, and
not looking for fame, not looking for a title.
Right. Yes.
It's so interesting when you plan a church, because everybody's got to do everything, and it's a lot of work, and it's really hard, and you're not necessarily in a position of prominence. You're definitely not making any money.
Yeah.
And so it literally is a call of God.
Right.
And what a great place to, again, I look at you because we've always partnered in ministry.
Right.
And you've always been an integral part of that. Again, until you were stolen from me.
Not bitter about that at all.
But an integral part in that ministry, whether it's youth and helping out with small groups and the cafe, and then moving on to the prayer room and, being an integral part of that, and then the launching of Pursuit and being, an integral part of that also. You came up, cutting your teeth with me in ministry, and just, that's such a what a great, and I look back at that and what a great story that was. And then you met Pat.
And then I met Pat.
How did that happen?
Well, we actually met right before we started Pursuit. What year did we start Pursuit?
98, I want to say.
98?
No, sorry, 2008.
No, it had to be after that because I graduated.
2008, 2009,
so
maybe.
I met Pat right around that time in FTCC.
Okay.
We were in class together, and I kind of thought he was the awkward kid.
I know that it was being birthed around the 09 time period, because we went out to IHOP and were visiting them, and that might have still been 09, and we didn't launch till 10, but it was right in that bracket. And then I actually came back to Cliffdale. We came back to Cliffdale
right after
2012.
Yeah, so right after I got married.
Yeah. So you met him FTCC. How did you guys meet?
So we were in class together. He was part of I had a small handful of friends that I talked to in my class. The rest of them I didn't talk to them.
Yeah.
And so it was just me and 3 other guys. I think it was 3 guys, and we just kind of hung out and exchanged, helped each other with papers and work and all that. And if there was a group, it was one, if we paired up. Yeah,
you paired with.
We paired between us.
Yeah.
And so he had asked me a couple times during our class if I would consider him more than a friend, and I was like, no, just no. Like the first time I legit laughed, like I thought he was joking and probably hurt his feelings, but I just let him know what he was getting into.
At that time, he was going to church at the Creek.
Yes, so actually he was with Pastor Jeff at Real Life Church in Spring Lake.
Okay.
And then I can't remember exactly what year, but maybe a year or 2 after we met, Pastor Jeff took on Church at the Creek with another pastor, Pastor Sam, and helped them revamp their church.
Yep.
And so Patrick was also, he was like me to you. He was an integral part of Pastor Jeff. And so
going according to biblical standards, I know.
I remember you looking at me being like, so are you coming? Are you guys going to come here? And I was like,
no.
Like, that was hard for me too, because me going, like, I knew everybody everywhere.
You were a daughter. That was
Cliffdale and Pursuit.
Yeah, it was giving away a daughter. I got to be honest. You were probably, I'll say given away lots of spiritual daughters, but you, because of our partnership, and we've got very similar personalities and awkward, quirky people, don't mind screaming or singing Christmas carols as we walk down the streets of downtown.
It's hard to find people that accept
accept that
our extra
that level
level of extra.
That level of personality. And that was you were absolutely positive. The most challenging. That was the most difficult to say goodbye to.
I remember going over to Pastor Jess with Patrick, maybe after we got married, maybe before, and him being like, Patrick, she's loud.
Yeah. Well,
and I was like, well, this is how I was raised.
Yeah, it's who we are.
Not only my biological family is loud, but
my spiritual
family
is super loud.
How did Amber make it?
Yeah, I don't know. And I can tell you that at least 2 people have come over my house on a Sunday, and the family's loud and literally had like anxiety issues where they had to be like, I'm so sorry, Pastor.
See, it's funny. I can take loud people, like I can take loud kids, but when there's like a TV and kids, I can't take the loud.
The level
I think
of
it's
conversation.
Literally just the screen being on and being loud. It's like a visual and an auditory.
Too many stimulants.
Too much.
So you meet Pat, and you guys finally, I guess he talks you into becoming.
Yeah. Well, see, we went on a trip, or I had no ride. I was working for a company that did the stands in Sam's Club where they try and get you to sell
to buy
stuff.
Knives or whatever.
I'm always a salesperson of some sort. And my brother was supposed to take me to my job in Goldsboro. Okay. They sent me to Goldsboro. And he wasn't contacting me. Well, the night before I was supposed to go, Pat had messaged me. He would keep in contact and we'd say, hi, how you doing? We're doing good. You know?
Checking on you,
Just, whatever. And so he was like, do you want to have dinner? And I'm like, Mel had surgery and she was staying with the Kellys. And I was home alone. Barbara, I guess, was working or out of town or something. And I was like, you know what? I'm hungry. My car had just broken down. Yeah. So I had no car.
Broke down. Nobody's here at the house.
So I was like, sure. But I was like, this is not a date.
Yeah, we're just getting dinner.
This is just friends. Like, I just want to make that clear. This is friends. I don't like you like that, dude.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, sure. I got sugar packets in my back seat. Totally not looking for a date. I just got off practice and I want somebody to eat with. He considers it our first date.
Yeah. So do I. So let me just segue in here real quick. So what I consider to be my first date with Amber, right, is I had a friend of mine, Jason, ask her and her sister if they wanted to go with the youth group to Wendy's after church. I consider that to be our first date, right? She considers that Friday night or whenever we went out to the movies on a double date.
Whenever you really went out.
Yeah, when we really
planned.
Yeah, But I'm like, no, our first date was actually at Wendy's. So yeah, I get it. Go ahead.
Right. So I tell him, I'm hopefully and I'm just talking. This is just casual talking. And I'm like, my brother's supposed to take me tomorrow, and then I made a joke about how, I don't know if he's going to be.
If he's going to be there or not, yeah.
So he messaged me the next day and he's like, hey, did you get to work? And I'm like, still waiting on my brother.
Yeah.
And like 5 minutes later, he's like, I'll be there soon. And I'm like, what? I'm like, wanting to tell him no, but I'm like, dang, but I don't get to work, I need to get, how can I fix my car? And so he comes and we're driving to Goldsboro. And this is before the highway got updated.
Yes.
And so when 295, or I guess it was 95 then, when 95 led off onto that little road by the Shell station, there was no median.
Yeah.
And there was a box truck, like a moving truck or something. Looked like he was getting off the road. No turning signals or anything. Yeah. But he was making a left turn and just taking it wide.
Yeah.
Well, Pat tried to go around him thinking he was getting off and ran into the front corner of his box.
Oh,
the most terrifying moment ever. The box was like right here.
Yeah.
The only thing that stopped it was the frame of the windshield. And oh my gosh, and then I heard dripping. It was the transmission fluid. And I'm like panicking, like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is it. This is the moment that I die. Yeah. At least it was interesting.
Yeah.
And then I look and Pat's out. And I'm like, how do you get out?
Yeah.
His car door wasn't pinned. Mine was. So I climbed out his door. But anyway, and so police come and they're like, well, your car is technically probably going to be totaled, but it's drivable. Yeah. So he's like, well, I can go ahead and take you. I'm like, well, we're already halfway here. And I guess, I should probably make some money in case I need to help you pay for this because this is my fault. So we continue And we couldn't find the hotel.
Oh, wow.
Like, Google is trying to take us to a hotel, and apparently the hotel we were trying to go to isn't there anymore.
Okay.
But the exit to get to my hotel, this was had to be a God moment, because there was a horrific accident right on the exit to get to my hotel.
Oh, wow.
And so there was fatalities in that one, though. And so we get at a gas station, and we're like, where is this hotel at? And they're like, oh, that one burned down. Here is the new one. So it's the same business.
Yeah, they just moved to another place. Yeah.
So he gives us the way to get there, and that's where the accident was.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, wow, this just, And so then we joked later on after we got married that the whole reason for us getting into all of that, because it took until like 10:30 at night to get to my hotel, is like we needed to spend that day together.
Yeah.
But like really for me, like a lot of that day was just watching Pat's demeanor. It wasn't like a, oh, gosh.
Yeah, well, and going after challenge after challenge after challenge.
And like his temperament didn't, like, I was frustrated. I was beyond livid. If that was my car and I wasted my day, I would have been like,
get out. Get out. You
just need to call somebody.
Yeah,
you need to call somebody else. Go away. Get far away. So then he's like, and the hotel that my company rented 2 beds. And so in my mind, I was like, I should offer him the bed.
Yeah.
And I was like, that probably won't look very good. So I'm like, maybe I shouldn't. I'll just I'll offer him coffee to drive home with.
Yeah.
And so we went and got him coffee, and he drove home. And so he messaged me when I was supposed to leave and was like, so is your brother getting you? And I was like, I have no clue. Like, my brother just went radio silent for days.
Yeah,
and
well, he would do that at times.
Right.
He would.
So it wasn't beyond the realm of normal.
Yeah.
And like I understood he had a kid and a girl at the time, and they were young and young family. So I was like, I can't expect him to do everything for me. So Pat comes to pick me up, and he's like, you want to meet my parents?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I guess I better thank them.
Right.
Like, in my mind, I wasn't meeting the parents.
No.
I was like, thank you for letting your son, like, because he took off work.
Yeah, drove you there. Got in an accident.
Right. And
drove home, drove back and picked you up.
I just want to thank you guys. And so we had dinner that night, and it was super awesome. I met them at their house. They cooked, and like we ate, and the cat drug in a baby bird that we tried to save. Hilarious. Name was Cupcake. And so Pat tells me long after we started actually dating that night when he came home, his mom was like, so when are you going to marry her? So I used to like to pick at her, and if I was getting under her skin, I'd be like, hey, you chose me.
Yeah. The first day. You
chose me. This was your... And from there... I don't remember when he actually asked me to be his girlfriend, but like it just yeah. And
you guys started dating, and so how long were you dating before you actually got married?
So we actually broke up in between there.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes, you did.
No, I do. I remember. Yeah.
It was, and then he went to the Philippines during that interim period. And at that point, I was like, well, I guess I'm done then.
Yeah.
Like, I went through the, no, I don't want to break up.
Yeah.
And, like, I was, like, heartbroken and whatever and so upset. And then while he was in the Philippines, I just kind of made it up in my mind. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And so his mom would call me and be like, so are you going to give him a second chance? And
did he ask his mom to do that?
I don't know. I think his mom probably.
Yeah.
He was like, please don't
give up.
Don't give up on him. Like, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. And so he came back, and he spent maybe like a week or so. I don't know. He would try and convince me to give him a second chance, to at least talk to him. And I was just like, I don't really want to talk to you, dude.
Yeah.
And so finally, I was like, okay, we can talk. And so we talked and hashed it out, and I was like, all right, we can give this a second chance. I was like, don't mess with me.
Yeah, don't do it again. Like, don't. Like, I don't play games.
this is a once in a lifetime. I'm not doing a second chance a second
So you
time.
guys dated for, was it just a couple months, right?
Yeah, so we started dating in June, and then we got married in January.
Okay. And in that time you broke up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had, and then got married in January.
Because I was like, I had made up in my mind before we broke up. I was like, this is it. So I had a list. Like I legit had a legit list. And I was like, and my friend used to joke and say, that's my impossible list.
Let me jump in and ask you this. Give me a little bit, because you're married. You guys have a business, roasting coffee, which we'll give a plug for that in just a second. But 6 kids, a husband who works full time. How do you do it? I mean, is there a secret? Is there a 3-part plan? What could you tell the ladies out there?
Lots of coffee. Yeah. And I mean, ask Amber. Honestly, like the coffee business has kind of been on the back burner because, COVID hit, and then all the riots and all the uproar and, all of that kind of put it on the back burner because I was pregnant twice between right before COVID, I had Jubilee, and then I had him during COVID.
Judah.
So it's kind of been on the back burner for most of that time. And then so we've tried to start picking it up again, but markets for the coffee is it's rough.
Is it what? And by the way, if you're watching, usually there it is. The Brutally Honest. This is the Tanzanian blend, which I highly recommend. It is off the chain. But if you're interested, you can look them up online and also order. And I highly recommend their coffees. What during pandemic, during the uproars and everything, right? Have you guys, and I'm sure you have, with inflation now, have you seen an increase in what you're paying for coffee?
Oh yeah,
and bringing it in.
Oh yeah, for sure. Coffee, bags, label, everything
is more.
up.
Yeah, is more expensive, right?
Yep. Which makes markets even harder because
it does.
It's weird because people expect to pay a good price for certain things at markets, but then for other things they expect to be getting a deal.
Yeah.
And so apparently coffee is in that deal category.
Yeah, right. When you just look at like even going out to dinner and stuff in recent times, everything is just so much more expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, restaurants,
and I'm as frugal as they come. So it's hard for me to charge what we need to charge for coffee.
Yep.
Because it's just like it's $24 a pound now.
Yeah.
That we need to charge in order for it to make order for it to be a business.
Yes. Yeah. To make anything.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise it's a ministry.
Yes.
Which we've talked about, like we've legit considered just buying a farm in Costa Rica or something.
Hey.
And like, and like literally making it a ministry for the locals.
Yeah.
But,
Well, and that's what Charlie does in Thailand. He takes, his he has his coffee business, and then he grows, markets, sells, and that's how he helps take care of so many orphans there in Thailand. Yeah. Well, cool. So here you are now, 6 kids. You have your coffee business. Your husband recently got his ministry license through Rockfish. So yeah, just doing some really, really great and powerful things. Any closing remarks? Anything you'd like to say?
One thing that's been on my mind a lot lately is there's a lot of things that I want to do, very ADHD, but like everything scares me. I was talking to a friend once about how do I do it, you know? Yeah. And she was like, and I was like, honestly, I don't know, but it all terrifies me.
Yes. Yeah.
Being a mom, like this, the fact that like my parenting shapes and molds and like is who they are gonna like. Yeah. That terrifies the daylights out of me, right? And she was like, no, ain't no way you scared. Yeah. First of all, you wouldn't have 6 kids if you were. Second, you seem to be doing a pretty good job. So clearly you're not. And I was like, no, dude, like
every day.
It scares the daylights out of me, you know? And so I was thinking about that real hard, and I was like, you know what? I jumped into parenthood scared. Yeah. Because like I knew, like, there was no question about it. Like, I'm having children and I'm raising children because
influencing them, imparting to them.
If we don't raise decent people, then it won't be decent people. You know, so. And I was like, man, I need to take that mentality with other dreams I have. You know, business and ministry, and just do it scared. Yeah, like
even if you're scared, be scared and do it anyway.
Be scared and do it still because. It's either going to happen or it's going to fail, and I'll pick myself up.
And you learn. Yep, that's cool. Great stuff, great stuff. Well, thank you so much for being with me today. We're going to now step out of this podcast and go have a meeting on a business idea that Chelsea has for catering. And if you're out there and just need a friend to talk to or get advice from, somebody who's walked the road and followed so many different paths, kids, business, entrepreneur, looking at, like I said, the catering business, coffee, look her up. You can look her up through my Facebook or any of my social media outlets. And I know that she is an individual who's still working it out, right?
Yeah,
but has who
don't have it all together.
No, don't have it all together.
So don't come to me if you're looking to have it all together.
Yeah, no,
I don't.
That's it.
And that's not the goal either.
Yeah, no, right? If somebody who's working it out daily and somebody who will pray with you and love on you, then if your
dream doesn't scare you, is it big enough?
Then it's not big enough, right? Oh. If your dream doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. We're going to close with that because that's amazing. All right, guys, that's about all the time we have. As always, like, share, subscribe, and as I always tell you, get out there and live life with all you've got.